Twitch did recently announce their new soundtrack, which is a music app apparently by Twitch that gives users access to curated playlists that are safe for streaming on Twitch. So, what do you all think this means for streamers? And whoever wants to go first with that can take that.
I think it's overall going to be. It's going to be good for people who don't want to get their VODs muted. I mean, that's that's one of the primary things that they're promoting is the separation of the music from the actual VOD. So even if there is some sort of copyright issue, that they'll be able to mute just the music and still allow you to have the audio of your stream.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of differing opinions out there, specifically the one from Rolling Stone. If you guys read that article,
I did. I read it before I.
So I had a friend of mine who's a fellow Destiny 2 player. We play from time to time, and he showed me an article on Medium that was written by a guy. These agreements are signed with these music agreements are signed not with the artists themselves, but the record label. So Twitch is using this as as far as I'm concerned, is using this as another revenue stream for themselves, while trying to trying to get around paying their creators. That is what I think is going on here. And it's also something to the effect of. I remember a couple of years ago when Fortnite had that live in-game event with Marshmello.
Oh yeah.
Okay. They've done several since then too.
Mm-hmm.
Travis,
Exactly.
And all them.
Right. This, I think, is a step in the direction of people realizing gaming is more of a social network now than ever before. I mean, so if you go on Twitch right now, there's many streams of DJs, artists, things like that, doing the sets on Twitch Live. Now that's mostly because of the whole quarantine that's going on, but it's also opened up eyes to, hey, people will actually sit and listen to this stuff because of the certain people who are doing it. So what I think, like I said, what I think this is that Twitch is trying to get more revenue out of it, and it's a step to seeing gaming as a social activity.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll be a good thing. I know some people were talking about, you can't, any music that you play on your stream will not be included in the VODs, like at all. So someone goes back and watches your stream, the music just won't be there. Supposedly, with the way that it's being set up. So, if somehow you capture the music on your VOD, it'll be removed. Or if you, decide to do a compilation and you send it over to, like YouTube, like a lot of streamers do, you might get a copyright strike over there. So you still have to be careful, in terms of using music that you don't own.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's a big part of what I do with my community. I if you can't tell, I'm a musician, and I make a lot of music for content creators for free. So when you come over to my channel, you'll hear a lot of music that I produce here right in this room, and hopefully, I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means when they start making these changes down the line, but we'll see.
See, what I'm going to end up doing is going back to playing classical music on my stream, because I actually looked it up. So the copyright for a musician's work lasts their lifetime plus, I think, like 75 years. Well, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin, Haydn, those guys, it's all public domain. So I'm just going to start playing classical music, I think, in my stream. Because, like, screw this. I'm not getting a copyright strike.
He's trying to troll Twitch at the same time.
Up to this point, none of my VODs get muted. And I feel safe about playing my own music that I created on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I hope so. I mean, can you imagine? It would be so weird for you to be streaming your music. Hey, check out this banger. Then you're like banned.
Well, you know,
Be
on
like, "What
YouTube,
the-"
you still
like,
wouldn't
this
be
is my
safe,
own
man.
music. But
Yeah,
now, if you were over on YouTube, that's a possibility. Not so much on Twitch.
They'll claim you
You-
no matter what, dude.
Dude, YouTube is like a freaking dumpster fire. You know, I've
Yeah,
kind of
it is.
I've kind of started messing around with making videos for YouTube again, but I'm kind of leery.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got videos from like 3 years ago that somebody just throws a copyright strike on from like Brazil or something. I'm like, what are you talking about,
Dude, I've gotten copyright strikes on like having bird noises and stuff in
Yeah.
my video.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had
Oh my
people
gosh.
copyright strike my own copyright-free music that I've made.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so
I'm just like,
dumb.
how does this make sense?
Well,
I
yeah,
made this.
and those people that do that don't have to give proof. You have to give the proof that
Mhm.
it's your music. The people that copyright strike you don't have to give any proof that it's theirs. I had a VOD struck once. And I got a notification that said 12 seconds of this track sounds like this, and I fought it. I'm like, this is Harris Heller's Stream Beats. If you got a problem, talk to Harris Heller, because he specifically said, I will not strike my music. So
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think the way that this the app is going to work is it's probably going to be a plugin. So Pretzel Rocks,
Mhm.
which is the person that they interviewed for the Rolling Stone article, they currently have a plugin for Streamlabs OBS right now. And so what it'll do is it'll put it in its own channel that Twitch will recognize, and then so for the like VOD or the clip, it just won't have that channel encoded or whatever inside the video. So
Yeah, which is pretty trick. I mean, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I wonder like if we're going to be able to hear it when we stream. You know,
yeah. So why do y'all
if
think
that's the
that
case,
Twitch?
then I'll be screwed.
Why do y'all think that Twitch designed things that way? And what do you think that means for like musicians? Because they talked a little bit about that in the Rolling Stones article.
it's
Well,
it,
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead, go
Bill.
I was gonna say, so several other artists have tried multiple times on these streaming services, Facebook Gaming, YouTube, Twitch, to get the companies to whitelist their songs. I have seen these tweets, I've talked to these people, and they said we tried and tried and tried to get our music whitelisted on these sites, and the companies either drag their feet or they just flat out won't do it. And right now it makes sense, because now you can say as a musician, my music is officially licensed on Twitch. Okay, you can say that because they have it in their plugin, which is one, it's a revenue stream for Twitch, and two, it's sort of like it will probably end up being another thing where certain record companies will, or certain artists, whatever you want to call them, will sign with certain channels, and then there'll be this whole cross platform form of battle again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
don't know. I mean,
interesting.
as long as like the artists get compensated fairly, I think that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
whatever they decide to do on Twitch, or if the artist wants to make it just free for people to use, like you do, old boy. I think that's great. I really do.
Right.
It's just I really think that the copyright system itself and the way that record labels and companies deal with this new era of on demand podcasts or VODs or streaming, they need to rethink their model and how they approach this industry, because they
Yeah.
have a great opportunity to make a living and to be able to collect some royalties on the music that they have in their thing, but they can't completely gouge us. I mean, the way that it worked originally when I was doing online radio, if I wanted to carry copyrighted music, was I had to pay for a license each month. Then on top of that, I had to keep track of how many listeners were listening to a particular track at any particular time. I had to report all those hours, pay on those hours. Then if anybody donated to the radio, or if I made any money whatsoever as a result of anything through the month, ASCAP or BMI got a percentage of those royalties of whatever was donated. And I'm like, this is just ludicrous. It is
Mm-hmm.
ludicrous.
Time to nut up or shut up. I haven't paid my membership fees in years, but I used to be in a pretty big band a long time ago, and because of that, I had to do the due diligence of making sure that we were compensated correctly. I can tell you firsthand that a lot of these companies like ASCAP or BMI, or there's a ton of them out there. You know, like they're really in it for the artists. They're not in it to. I mean, they're definitely a business as well. They're going to make money, but they're really trying to make sure that these artists are being compensated correctly. And now you're starting to see these third-party companies pop up like DistroKid, and you know, like there's not a lot of information out there about what they're really doing behind the scenes and the percentages that. One thing that I want to kind of talk about here is like a lot of it has to do with technology. We all know that technology is exponentially changing. It's rapidly growing at an exponential rate, but we are holding it accountable to archaic laws that don't keep up with the times, more or less.
Absolutely.
And because of that, it's not governed correctly. There's so much that needs to change on the legality side of things to catch up to what we're dealing with.
Well, see, and I think this goes to what Tech says. Tech says is that the copyright system is broken. You have YouTubers that throw copyright strikes on other people's stuff just because they're commenting on it and they don't like the comments that are being made. When under the fair use process or fair use standard, if you take someone else's ideas and content and transform it, which is technically what commentary is, that's totally fine. But YouTube went on this ban spree where they struck and banned a whole bunch of videos and several channels simply because somebody got upset about something else that, you know, somebody took 20 seconds of what they said and made a comment on it.
Yep.
It's like, well, wait a minute. That's nightly news. That's the nightly news. That's what TV was for 50 years before the internet. What the heck?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had Warner Brothers come and put a copyright on my whole entire 2.5-hour video over a 14-second sound clip of one of their songs.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know, I unlisted it, and I was like, you know, you're not getting no blood money out of me. I was like, I'm done with you. You know, there has to be something, you know, if there was like, you know, a per month subscription service for like streamers, you know, $20-$30 or whatever. I mean, there's a mathematical formula that companies like ASCAP, BMI, and that they could figure out to charge a fair amount to make sure that the artists are getting their cut,
right,
and that, you know, the streamer is allowed to use it without, you know, getting banned on wherever they're making their content, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or Facebook, you know.
Well,
they do have stuff like Monster Cat out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. But
that's more like indie music though than it is like
exactly.
say like
there's
mainstream.
nothing there's nothing that really allows you to dip your toes into popular culture.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I thought was interesting in the Rolling Stones article is they talk about the different types of licenses. So there's one of the reasons they're doing it this way is because they don't have to, supposedly because they don't have to pay the sync license, which is what you would need for it to be on a VOD or on a clip, and that's more expensive than the type of license that they're getting to have it on the stream. So it ends up saving Twitch and Amazon a lot of yeah.
But Twitch has got a smart legal team. They
do, yeah.
I mean, it's Amazon.
Yeah, it's Amazon.
I know. They cross their, you know, what is that? Dot their I's and cross their T's very well.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
But it kind of reminds me of like back in the day when you started getting streaming services because they were trying to find a way to get around like people pirating music. So they were just trying to get people a better option to get people a bunch of music for like a very like, you know, nominal amount of money.
Came out?
Yeah. But it also goes back to that like progress of technology to where like people are like, all right, well, how do we manage this stuff now?
Right.
So
we're seeing that across the board, man. Like all social media, not just the music industry. Like,
yeah, wasn't it like a huge deal when like Taylor Swift came to Twitch or Spotify or whoever, and then the Beatles finally like made it over and stuff?
Yeah, I
Yeah, a
think
lot of people were holding off for a minute. Sorry, Tex.
no,
Or
go
not
ahead, bro.
Twitch, Apple, the Apple,
Mhm. Apple
iTunes.
Music.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. I think they came to Apple first.
yeah,
If I remember
I think
correctly.
so. I think that's right. But
Yeah, see,
yeah,
Captain Kid says Apple, so I'm in the
Apple.
right.
It's Apple. It's iTunes.
Thank you,
yeah.
Captain Kid.
So what do y'all know about like Facebook's solution for music? Because they announced something recently to where I don't know exactly how it works because I don't deal with Facebook. I use Facebook like once a month.
Oh man, I honestly am not the person to ask about this.
Yeah,
I just recently permanently deleted all of my Facebook related accounts.
it's too bad, man. You're never gonna be able to use the Oculus Rift now. So you
Get
gotta.
out of here. Yeah, I'm not interested in their business model personally
Yeah.
at all.
They have some kind of deal that apparently lets you play a bunch of different music without having to worry about it in your live streams. So,
Hmm.
and then so the last question is, do you think you're going to be using this Twitch soundtrack thing for your own live streams? If you got options for your playing your own music, then maybe you don't need it. But what
Yeah,
do y'all think?
I mean, old boy's got your own
Yeah.
record studio right there.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm set, for myself. I mean, I don't know whether or not, I'll be doing anything like that or not. I mean, I haven't streamed with music since my YouTube days, just because YouTube kind of left a bad taste in my mouth on the short time I was streaming over there, 5-6 months or whatever. That I just kind of was like, you know what, that's fine. I'll just go with the natural game sound and just talk to chat. You know what I mean? As long as I have the game up loud enough, hopefully to where they can hear it, then that way it gives them something to kind of listen to other than my sorry, pathetic voice.
Do you use in-game music at all?
Yeah, I'll use in-game music, but I'm also very leery on which games that I stream that has in-game music. Like, gosh, what was the one? Like Ghost Recon, I think is what it was. It was like, Ubisoft was like, hey, we're coming out of the game. It's got music, but don't worry about it. It's safe for streaming. A bunch of people on YouTube was playing the game. And that music on the radio came on as they were driving.
Oh, yeah.
Takedown.
Freaking Fallout's
Sweet.
like that too.
Ridiculous.
Happened to me on my VOD for Death Stranding.
Oh yeah.
Really, with the game music itself?
The
Game
Kojima
music
does a lot of
muted,
licensed
man.
music.
Like, I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, because he had the same problem in like the last Metal Gear Solid game as well.
Yeah. So what I'm probably gonna do is one of two things. I'm gonna either go back to playing classical music because I actually like listening to classical music. I was in band in high school, and I appreciate that style of music for its a complexity. But I also think that this is a really good way to engage your community. I have friends that make music, and I personally have zero problem with like, look, hey, I got you what, $200, $300. I want a playlist, and they'll be like, okay, boom, here you go. And I've had people do that for me. I've had people, I say, I want a playlist of so many songs over so much time. To be like, and I'll ask them, how much is it? And I'll pay them, and I got zero problem with that. I think that artists should get paid, and I will never do a project where I bring in other people that I will not pay them. I'm working on a project on my own right now when it comes to writing some Destiny fan fiction, and I've made sure every artist I bring in, I go, "What's your fee? Here's what I want. Boom, here you go." Because I think artists deserve to get paid. Getting paid in exposure is a joke, and you shouldn't steal that stuff either. That's just me.
So, Bill, is Sloan in this Destiny fan fiction of yours?
She is not. I have purposely strayed away from adult themed content for as much as Sloan makes my heart go pitter patter as a fellow Titan. I'm getting all worked up thinking about it. She is not in this book. However, I will be creating other things down the road.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. Oh man, yeah, I do like depending on the game I'm playing. I do a lot of like video game soundtracks and just like play a compilation. which some of that stuff is still licensed. Probably most of it is still licensed, anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
there are some bands out there that like the Midnight, which I'm like big into freaking synthwave right now. I don't. It's like just reminds me of the '80s. You know what I mean? I'm old, guys. In case you couldn't tell. So '80s was like my decade of like discovering music and Transformers and GI Joe and He-Man and She-Ra. You know what I'm saying? Like Bill knows what I'm talking about. The good stuff. None of
That's
this.
right, my man.
None of this garbage like Power Rangers and all this other stuff. I mean,
Hey, hey,
we had My Little Pony back in my day.
You
You know what I'm saying?
You
We
got
had
the
strawberry
power,
shortcake.
Yeah.
And anyway, but they're like, you know, they let everybody know on Twitter and stuff like that too, as well, that it was safe for streaming. So if there's any streamers out there, and it's really good music, it really is. So I try to make sure to plug them. But I mean, that's, you know, that'll be on like an occasion. But I probably won't switch up playing music anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I'm just doing like a
goal was to try and get 4 hours worth of royalty-free songs and actually make a legitimate ASCAP released track that was safe for all platforms.
That would be cool if you could do that.
yeah.
That'll be awesome.
All
So
right.
tell me what band were you in, or is this better taken like off stream? I'm curious. Old school. Oh boy.
I was in a band signed to Victory Records called The Autumn Offering.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's a metal band, metalcore band. back
Oh,
in the
nice.
day.
nice.
Nice.
Dang.
90s were a good decade, man. Don't anybody tell you otherwise.
I agree.
I like to think so.
It was. Some
Yeah.
great music came out of the 90s. My wife's cousin is Marcy Playground, the lead singer of Marcy Playground. Really great guy.
way! That's awesome.
Mhm, mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great guy. So we get to go backstage and hang out with him whenever he comes around,
Nice.
which is fun now because, you know, it's not like thousands and thousands of people are there, but, you know, any of the old school bands that come through from the 90s and stuff like that they tour with, we get to hang out with.
Nice.
Kind of cool.
It's not like a direct relation, but my granddad's like I think cousin or somebody is the guy who wrote or the guy who did I Fought the Law.
Oh, really?
No
Yeah.
way!
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, there you go.